Ooh, welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. LeBron James spotted at the club after Game 5 when they lost to the Timberwolves. We'll talk a little bit more about the Joker insanity fan base and why they don't understand. What I'm saying is clear as day. They don't understand these things, folks. I've been called a Joker hater, this and that and this. But it's basically the opposite, right? I'm not a Joker hater. But first, before we talk about those two things in depth, because, you know, especially with the LeBron James thing, I'm not going to bring you the same thing that everybody else is going to bring you. Come on, man. We have to grow up and wake up as an adult. And I know it's cool to talk about, you know, we'll say the same thing that everybody's talking about. But we'll, like always, we'll tell you different facts about the whole situation. Right? See, if I did the Diddy coverage, I would tell you something totally different than what everybody else is telling you. See, they're telling you what the system in the entertainment industry wants you to say. That's how YouTube will pat you on the back and says, here's another bot sub. Here's another sub. Here's some more views. And I'm starting to think like, well, I already know most of the subs are bots that people have on their channel, because I was able to go and look at some of these people's channels, and the people don't exist. They're not real people. They're just bots. And you could tell by the channel. I ain't saying all of them, but a lot of them. So with that being said, I'm thinking views are fake too. If you're giving somebody fake subs, you're also giving them fake views. And to accomplish these things, you have to stay in line with YouTube, the good old boys. You got to say the right things, and you got to do the right things on video, which I'm going to just go ahead and leave that alone. Because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to push nobody the wrong way, but they know they have to do certain things in front of the camera for it to be YouTube approved, right? So let's talk about this recession that's coming up. And what I will tell people, this is the real deal, Holyfield, what's about to happen. A lot of people would sit back like COVID and they didn't believe it. Now, there is some questions about, you know, was the details real, about what really happened in the details. And what I'm saying, but now what I'm saying, people were sitting back, they didn't believe it was real, in the sense that they weren't preparing themselves. They weren't preparing themselves. When the hurricanes hit last year, I was preparing myself. A lot of people took this stuff as a joke. And when it all came down, I was prepared. We had lights, we had TVs, we had lots of food. We had outdoor cooking with gas, butane. I was cooking up breakfast, and people were suffering. Now, again, people wasn't prepared what was coming down the pipe for the pandemic. Okay, but what I'm trying to tell you is, they were saying, we got 20 cases. We got 500 cases. We have 2,000 cases. We have 1 million cases. We have 2 million cases. Next thing you know, the world is shut the hell down. Now, I'm trying to tell you guys, don't sit back and wait. The last 2 weeks, I've been seeing people at the supermarket shopping like they regularly shop. And I'm not trying to say panic buy or not, whatever. I'm just saying get ready. Some people aren't understanding what's about to happen. I've already got 3 weeks full of food in my house. I got outside of the Democrat, Republican news stations, and I listened to other people who ain't pushing no agenda. And what they were saying had me going to buy $400 worth of groceries at 10 o'clock at night when nobody was at the supermarket. Because what they told me was just nuts. Just nuts. And I'm glad I did it, because of one of the things he said, even if Trump was to come with a deal today, last week, or next week, it's already too late. Everything is already backed up, which means the prices are still going to go up. So what does that mean? Whether they go up or they're not going to be on the shelf, you're still going to be fighting for food. You're going to be fighting people for this and that. And they were saying you're not going to be fighting for toilet paper. You're going to be actually fighting people for real food. And look, to me, this is a shrewd business deal by Donald Trump. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Donald Trump is a businessman. But, you know, what's so funny is you have Biden in office. We didn't even know what the hell he was talking about. And now Trump is in office. We don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. I mean, it's the same two guys destroying the economy. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I just got paid. And I'm going to the supermarket right now to buy more stuff. It's about to get real. And it's coming down the pipe. You know, with the kind of job I have, I get to move around. So I get to see stuff. And the stuff that I'm seeing is, you know, early traffic on the roads. I live in a pretty big city. Early traffic on the roads, which means people aren't working longer, right? They're working less hours in a day. They're not working a lot of overtime. So you'll see the roads get busy at 3 o'clock. Rush hour will be, you know, heavy rush hour will be at 4 o'clock. When usually it was like heavy rush hour was at 5. It started at 4, but now rush hour is starting at 3. Because people are getting off now. There's no work like that. You go to gas stations and they're trying to give out food. You know, we have this place where I live at, Racetrack. One slice of pizza usually is $2.99. Insane. Now, if you buy a 20-ounce soda, you get a slice of pizza for free. What? So they don't even give a damn about the pizza and losing money. It's about trying to push out their Coca-Cola product because they're not making no money on the Coca-Cola because nobody is coming to the gas station and either buying the Coca-Cola when they get there, or they're not even coming to the gas station like they used to. You have, I think, 7-Eleven. I think they had three 32-ounce Gatorades, or was it 32 or 20 ounce? One of them. And it's not the little skinny Gatorade, it's the bigger one. Is that 20 ounce or 32? It can't be no 32. I think it's a 28 ounce. But you get 3 of those now for $5. No, that was at Thornton's for $5 at Thornton's. At Racetrack, $6. So you get 3 for $6. What's so crazy about that? One of them used to be $3. They're giving out, I think for $6, I think it's, I don't drink this stuff, but it's, you know, the people make like Mike's Hard Lemonade, Four Locos, and just different single beers, the tall cans. You can get 3 now for $6. 3 for $6. The assortment. So again, and I seen at this place, it's called Speedway, and it's I guess 7-Eleven bought it. They're affiliated, and they're telling Amazon workers, was it 2 free drinks a week or something like that. Yeah, 2 free fountain drinks a week. Wow. Yep. Gas prices plummeted this morning. You know, it depends on how you look at it though. It looks like it plummeted all the way like 30 cents overnight. So this is where we're going, folks. And let me explain to you what's going on, because the news ain't gonna tell you, you know, all the people that's out there trying to get you to panic buy. They're not gonna tell you, and just a lot of people's not gonna tell you. For one, they don't want their channel being dinged because they're monetized. They want their views. And then some people are, you know, on the other side. They're agents. So they're not really going to tell you what's going on. And the reason why you're going into a recession. And this recession is funny because this recession is hitting the truckers for the most part, right? All recessions hit a broad scope of industries, but it will hit one main industry the most, right? So this industry is hitting the truckers, right? When we talk about COVID, which was really another recession. To me, it was just under another name. They gave out money and all this stuff. They did that before, right? That's what they do in recessions. George Bush Jr. last time, you know, in that recession, he gave out I forget what they were called. They were called something, but recession checks, stimulus or whatever like that. Stimulus checks. And in that recession with George Bush Jr., the 2008 recession, it hit the housing market. It hit the housing market. In the COVID recession, basically, it hit the retail industry. So again, this one now is going to hit the trucking industry. Yep. And before we even talk anymore, the normal corporates will benefit off of this. We all know who's going to benefit off this. When we look at the 2008, what happened? Well, that recession, they ended up giving billions in bailouts to the banks, the credit card companies, the car companies, the airline companies, these companies like that. And they'll say, oh man, they don't get this money, man. They're the cornerstone of the economy. That's what they told you. So in the pandemic, they didn't know how they was going to play it off. So they start sending everybody checks, right? Everybody gets a check. They didn't even check on to see who was doing good, who was doing bad. Everybody just gets a check. Everybody gets a check. Huh? You know how much debt that is? So the companies and the corporations were able, or the big ones, were able, depending on, how big their company was and how much business they did, they were able to get $1 million, $5 million, $1 billion. Yes, that's what they were able to get and pay none of that money back. What? So I'm not going to go like crazy into detail about it, but that's what happened. They got all that money again with no overhead. Guys, you know how much debt that is to the economy? That Biden just gave out all this money to companies and corporations that wasn't doing bad? What? And it wasn't hard. All you had to do was fire some of your employees, or, the company go a little bit slow. That's it. That's all you had to do to show a law in your company to apply for that money. And never have to pay it back again. Now, this is what's going to happen here. It's just going to hit the fan, and it's going to be the same people. Now, I don't think well, I'm not going to say it's not going to be like the pandemic and them handing out checks. It might be the same thing over and over again. Because to me, at the end of the day, they're going to have to do something. Because thousands of people are starting to lose their jobs in the United States. And more are going to keep losing their jobs. Now, the problem is, you just can't have people losing all these jobs and everybody sitting at home being broke on unemployment. That's not going to pay the bills. We're not talking about somebody losing their job at McDonald's. We're talking about people losing their jobs that work middle-class jobs. You know what I'm saying? Have degrees, have licenses to do stuff, have went to school and stuff like that. So all these people are gonna get let go. So of course they're gonna start giving out more checks. Watch how fast these things print out. just like COVID, right? Those checks printed out so fast. It's almost like it was already predicted. So to me, that's what I'm thinking. They're gonna start printing out checks. So there's no anarchy. People don't start burning stuff down and going crazy and stuff like that because they can't pay their bills. And this is going to go on for a good minute. Maybe a couple months, 3 months, whatever it takes for this recession to go around. Because what the United States is doing, when they go into this recession, they're going to go into bankruptcy like they have many times. The United States corporation has been in bankruptcy many times. So that's all a recession is. You can file for bankruptcy too, but they're not going to call it a recession because you're not dealing with an economy. But any person can file for bankruptcy too. And that's what the United States will be doing during this recession, is file for bankruptcy. Not only the United States, a lot of these countries, people need to realize, I just told you about the pandemic and they was giving out all this money. That was just in checks. We're not counting the billions that Biden gave out to these countries to fight wars that never got back to the people, and the money, the billions that he funded to illegal immigrants to put them up in hotels, give them cell phones, give them billions of dollars of your tax money so they can use money cards to eat and buy stuff. Billions of dollars, folks. So, and then all the stuff that Trump did when he was in office the last time. So this is tens of trillions of dollars in debt that Trump ran out last time he was in office and when Biden was in office. People have like a short-term memory that everybody wanted Biden out of office because of his politics, because of skyrocketing gas, food prices, rent prices, people can't buy a house. People say, I'll never be able to afford a house. Yep, everything. How he handled the hurricanes. And that's another thing. These insurance companies, they're in this recession, they'll be able to file bankruptcy and get out of all the money they're in debt with from all these natural disasters the past couple years. So I'm just trying to tell you, what they won't tell you is you're going into a recession because the United States corporation is about to file another bankruptcy, which is AKA a recession. They talk about the Great Depression. This was nothing but another bankruptcy to restart the economy. You know what the Great Depression was? Well, the United States, they were in debt, massive debt from all the wars they fought, the Spanish-American War, I think it was, the Mexican-American War. Remember, the Spanish-American War, this thing was crazy. It was like, they fight against Puerto Rico, Philippines, I think I want to say Guam, Hawaii, Cuba, and of course they gave Spain $100 million in a treaty for all those countries. So you got to remember what a country was. A country was nothing but a colony in a place of trade and business when the Europeans came over here. They were colonies set up to do business out of, that the king sent charters over here, and then companies and corporations came inside those colonies to do business out of them. But the biggest businessman was the king. The kings at that time. That's all colonies were. So when people say, oh man, blah, 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 colonized. Yes, they colonized and did business with the Indians of that land. Right? Rather it was to me, I think it was the crooked Indians of that land. Because when we talk about the Indians of the land, we're talking about hundreds of different tribes. So to me, the crooked Indians went in with the Europeans and start killing off all the, smaller Indian tribes. And then eventually they just, all went as one and made up this silly story that, the Europeans came over here and killed 100 million Indians, which is the biggest lie. And we won't get too deep into that, but if you don't even know history, how the hell do you even know what's going on? If you only understand the school's history, which is fictitious, you'll never understand what's going on. If you believe in the system's health, science, and education as something real, which makes me want to laugh, then you don't know what's going on. Now, you can still make money off the stuff, off the fakeness, off the ridiculousness, but you don't know what's going on. So that's why you listen to the news, because they work for the United States corporation. So when you watch the news, whether you're watching Fox or you're watching CNN and NBC, they're happy and smiling. Why? Because they're rich. They don't worry about nothing. But whichever one you go with, guess what? They fund a certain party. They either fund the Democrats or they fund the Republicans. That's who they fund. They fund one of those parties. And what does party mean? They're partying, living it up, having fun, getting messed up on your misery. It's a party. They're having a party. They're all friends. They're all buddies. They're having a party. That's why the lobbyists have to, they have to figure out what party are they going to party with. Are they going to party with the Democrats or the Republicans? Which means, are they going to give money to the Democrats or the Republicans to get a law passed in their favor? That's it. And who gives them the biggest money? Whatever corporation gives them the biggest money, that's who will get the laws passed. The people don't make the laws. Have you ever heard of people making any laws? No. The companies and corporations, they make the laws, right? So they get the laws passed in their favor by giving money to the politicians, whether it's local politicians or national politicians. That's the way it worked from the beginning. That's the way it has worked forever. Just look at the word lobbyist, and it's a wrap. So, we talk about sports on this channel a lot, and sometimes we have to get out of sports because it's not reality, folks. It's grown-ass man playing the kid sport, getting paid $10 million, $60 million a year to essentially play 3 games a week, 2.5 hours. Okay, we'll give them 3. So they play, when they do play, in those 3 days that they do play, they play for 3 hours. What? Yeah, they play for 3 hours in a game. And you play 3 games a week at the most. So let's do the math. Is that hard? 3, 6, 9 hours. How in the hell did they convince you that these guys are worth 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 million a year working 9 hours in a week? I don't know either. But we'll get back to that in a minute. We'll get back to sports in a minute because, that's what people use to get out of reality. They might use something else. Some people don't like sports. Some people, they might be on TikTok all day. Some people might, they like to gamble. That's how they get out of reality. But what I'm trying to tell you, in the long run, this is nothing new. Recessions ain't nothing new. Trump ain't doing nothing because, he's a butthole. This is what he's been told to do. Trump is the president of the corporation. That's it. He has no, he don't make any decisions on anything that's going to be getting done. Anything. Have you ever listened to this guy? You think this guy could actually run a company? Come on, man. He just says a whole bunch of ludicrous stuff that doesn't make any sense, because what he can do is he can bring you the drama. He can bring you the soap opera. He can bring you that stuff. Other than that, businessmen don't come off like that. They don't approach stuff like that. They don't talk like that. That ain't how you do business. What they're trying to tell you, and we talked about this the other day, they're always going to have you vote. Remember, you didn't want to vote for Trump, even though your vote don't count. According to the Constitution, 1976 or 77, you can't vote for a president. Only politicians can with the Electoral College. The people get the they get the popular vote. It's a feel-good vote. The citizens can never. It's like an employee voting at a company for the next president. You think the owner's gonna let that happen? Hell no. So what I'm trying to say is, you were gonna go in a recession. It didn't matter who was gonna be president. That's why I was telling the dummies who vote, I said it's better that Biden gets elected again and back in office, so all that, or Republican or Democrat, my fault, so everything can stay on their shoulders. Because I said it would take 10 to 15 years to pay back just the debt Biden ran up in his 4 years. So why would you want Trump in there to shoulder that, right? It's almost like, when Obama got elected. Why would you want to shoulder what George Bush did in those 4 years, destroying the economy? But actually, it was okay because it already went into a recession when George Bush was there. So it had no other way but to go up. And since, Biden was in office, everything was going down. Not only just because of him, because, what Bush had did. I mean, Trump ran up a whole bunch of debt. But he just doubled down on that debt, or even more, Biden did. So now there's really nowhere to go but up. I mean, you guys think it's going down because we're going into a recession, but you have nowhere else to go but in a recession, because the United States corporation, they don't borrow so much money from the banks. They have nothing else to do but go into another recession, right? That's it. So everything, I'm going to ask you, when everything goes up, does it ever go back down? No. When all those prices were going up, when Biden was in office, Trump could not bring none of that down because you're in a deficit. You're in debt. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you could take it to a plus somehow and pay back that debt, but until you pay back all that debt, your prices aren't going to go down. That's the only thing that could happen. Prices go up when you owe the money and you're in debt. That's the only thing that can happen. And the more money you owe, it don't matter what industry it is, but usually, property tax is going to keep skyrocketing. And we don't even know why. Well, I know why. You guys don't. So let's say you guys don't even know why property tax keeps going up. It's the same damn property. We're not in space. We're not living no futuristic. So why is property tax continuing to go up? I ain't talking about nothing else. I ain't talking about, this tax, that tax. I'm talking about why is property tax keep going up? I mean, your surroundings ain't getting that better. Property tax is usually based on, your surroundings. The surroundings ain't changed that much. Maybe the hood has, right? Got gentrified, something like that. I'm just saying, man. It's going into a recession, and a lot of bad stuff is about to happen because it has to. They have to wash their hands with the banks again. And guess what? Their buddies have to get billions of dollars again. It's a game. I'm just saying, this is, this is something different, guys, because, we didn't have to worry about not having food in the last recession, pandemic, or back in the '08 recession. We didn't have to worry about food. Now, stuff is getting real to where you're going to have to worry about food. Now, I don't know how long you're going to have to worry about food. Maybe it could be a week. Maybe it could be a month. But you're going into a recession. This administration ain't bringing jobs back to the United States. It's ludicrous. It ain't bringing manufacturing factories, none of that. It ain't coming back. Now, they'll pat themselves on the back at the end of the day when the 4-year term is just about over. And they'll say, oh, we brought all these jobs back. Didn't he say he was going after all these illegal immigrants that Biden brought in here? It was like over 10 million in the 4 years. When Biden told the Border Patrol to stand down, a Border Patrol that is $1 billion something budget a year. So they were just getting money for not doing their job. So anyways, Biden told these fools to stand down and let all these people just walk across, book them, asylum, give them money cards, give them phones, give them all this stuff of our taxpayers' money. But this is the ish that he made up. So anyways, Trump ran, said he was going to get all these illegal immigrants, which is a lie. Illegal immigrant equals money for the big companies and corporations, especially in the blue collar industry. That's another thing is, if you brought those manufacturing jobs back here, who was going to work them? Because they refuse to let Americans work blue collar jobs for the most part now. It's all illegal immigrants. Not because they're paying them good. They're paying them like trash. No overtime, no insurance, no workman's comp. Nothing. That's why they're working them. But anyway, if you brought the factories back here, who's going to work them? Yeah, illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants. So it still wouldn't be no better. His buddies were just, these big companies and corporations still making crazy jack, not paying nobody nothing like they're doing in China. They got the latest technology in China. The machines, the computers. You just got little kids in there pressing buttons. And the machines make the shoes, make the cars, make the couches, make the shirts, make everything. And they'll try to convince you on Fox News, CNBC, all these places. Well, Fox ain't trying to convince you that, but the Democrat side is trying to convince you that a place, China, who makes 85% of the goods around the world, the people there are in there working in sweatshops, no ventilation, just 19, 30, 40, 50 conditions is the biggest joke ever, folks. You could never get 85% of the world's population, goods out from this country if you still have factories and warehouses like that, man. No, it's the Chinese, man. Chinese are advanced. They paying cheap labor because they have little kids or women working in these manufacturing warehouses. They pay them nothing because they're not doing nothing but pressing buttons for a damn machine to make all this stuff. That's what they won't tell you. And that's why they don't want they don't want those manufacturing companies coming back to the United States, because American-owned companies is making so much money with those companies over there. Do you know China has more millionaires than we do have middle class? That's how much money they're making over there, folks. So, nevertheless, like I said, the recession is going to happen. You just got to be ready and stock up. It's not going to happen for a long time. It might happen for a month. It might happen for 2 months. And then they're going to pull the plug. People are going to get, like, recession checks and stuff like that, so they don't, burn the whole United States down. But we have to go into a recession. We're too far in debt. No matter who you blame it on, Trump, Biden, they're both to blame. But this tariff stuff is just a cover-up to cause the recession. Give it about, after the recession happens, maybe, I don't know, maybe about a month, 2 months, whatever like that. They'll make some fake deal with China, because it's all fake. It's all scripted. They got to bring you a movie because they never want you to know what's happening. Because a lot of people don't want to know what's happening. It's pretty scary what's happening in reality, as far as, how everything works. But they're going to bring you this. You're going to go through this recession for about, I don't know, a month, 2 months. And then they're going to pull the plug, like I said, and they're going to make a deal with China. And of course, prices are going to be skyrocketing. It's just going to be all this drama. So I try to make it as simple as I can, but it's not going to last for that long. Give it about, I don't know, man. I would say when a recession actually hits, and that's hard to say, there's a real date. I'm talking about like deep into it. Lots of people are getting fired. People are at home. They're sending out recession checks and all this stuff. The big boys get their recession checks, which is billions, like always. The car companies, the credit card companies, the banks, the airlines, and all this stuff. Once all that stuff seems to set in, just straight doom, you know what I'm saying? Then I think that, they're going to pull the plug. Or if you will, they'll plug it back in. They'll turn the lights back on. And they'll do a deal with China. So I'm just saying, stock up for what you need right now. I wouldn't stock up on a lot of stuff that you can't have for a long time, like produce. You can't keep produce for a long time. Most of it. A lot of it, you can't keep it for a long time. But I would stock up on, especially meat. Stuff like that. Because they said that the meat trays, you put chicken wings on, they put this steak and chicken and stuff, this different stuff. They said that China makes all those trays. And those trays will be empty in our supermarket soon. So I'm just trying to tell you, man, a lot of stuff is more important than dumb sports. Than these overrated, overpaid athletes. Go do what you got to do. And I'm blessed because I'm on the OMAD. I'll do OMAD keto. I do 1 meal a day. That's it. That's all I do. And I done lost like 25 pounds. My body healed. Everything. I got into herbs, which is so powerful. Makes me laugh at all prescription medicine and any kind of medicine. I basically healed my dog, and I won't go too deep into that, but yeah, get ready. So let's talk a little bit more about this LeBron James thing. And apparently, they said he was at the club. They sent photos, all this stuff, and they had him in the same, attire after Game 5, as they seen him at the club that same night after the game. Now, what day was that game? Was that the last game was on Friday or Saturday, was it? I think it might have been. Now, here's the thing about it. We can say, we can question a lot of stuff about this, but in the long run, does it really even matter? Unless somebody actually seen him dancing in the club, does it really matter? And listen, I'm not trying to absolve him out of this whole thing, but I'm just saying, if he wasn't dancing on the floor, does it really matter? Because his pundits, or not his pundits, his protectors will say that, so what, he was at the club. The man can't go to the club and have a drink. He wasn't dancing. Do you have any footage or photos of LeBron James dancing? And I think that's where he really covers his own ass. If you can't find any footage of this guy dancing, then you failed. It means nothing with what you're saying. Now, is it right that he was at the club after saying he had a, torn MCL? No, it's not right. But what else is right that he's been doing for 22 years, lining up a storm? What else? What else? This is normal. This guy has lined up a storm for 22 years and gotten away with it. So why is this a big deal? He's hurt every year after they lose in the playoffs. So what's so different now? Remember, he was hurt during the All-Star game. Said he wasn't playing, and then I think a day or two, he was at a game. His son's basketball game, dancing, moving around on the sideline, kicking balls in warm-ups when he says he's hurt, when he didn't even play. It's a joke, folks. This whole NBA is a joke. Good luck with the script. I don't know how anybody hasn't caught on. LeBron James is just the entertainment. Nobody, not Nick Wright, not Callum Cowherd, not Shannon Sharp, none of them think this guy is a top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 player. When LeBron James went to the Miami Heat, and he said, not 1, not 2, not 3, the NBA all concluded, they all came together, all the owners, and they all said, LeBron James is going to be our entertainment. We're not selling our league based on on-court greatness anymore. We want a clown. And to make it worse, we're going to back that clown up and get him whatever he wants. Whatever team he wants, whatever excuse he wants, whatever headline he wants. Whether it's, through the debate media or through the sports media dealing with the NBA. So this is what I say when we talk about the tariffs and we're talking about people starving in the future, we're talking about this. We're talking about a fake NBA that's fake, that's scripted. We're talking about this guy is able to do all this for 22 years and no player speaks out or goes against him. You would think it would be like 10 players together that went against this guy. Nope. Because it's all scripted, folks. I know everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants views and they want this and that. But it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. None of these guys will ever be in the 2020s. They'll never be in the top 10 to me. When men came to the court to play, defense, offense, rivalries, there were real head coaches. Dudes weren't traveling and carrying. There was real officials. Your star player didn't go up and down the court with the official and call him a nigga bitch and don't even get a tag. LeBron James does that. Whines and cries every time he takes a shot. You're trying to tell me those are real officials? And he don't get a tag? Never? How's that possible? You never ever get a tag for being in an official's face, whining and crying every time you miss, and you calling him a nigga and a bitch and all this stuff. This is why people stopped watching the NBA. Because they knew this is nothing but a reality show, guys. They don't hold them to the standard to where they have to play real basketball. That was played since the middle of the 2010s. Since its inception. So I'm just saying, man, what's so real important that this guy lied about? Because the joke is on you. If you're mad enough to get mad about this, or if you're dumb enough to get mad about him lying once again, because he has to be the spotlight. Who is your second interesting guy in this era? And based on what? What championships? What personality? Who's the other guy? I ain't saying LeBron James got a great personality. I think he's dumb. But I'm just saying this is who they anointed for their soap opera, for their entertainment. Because, again, the NBA decided a long time ago, and like I said, since 2012, that the NBA was no longer going to be sold based on on-court greatness. It's going to be sold based on a 95% soap opera. And that's what for LeBron James, for better or worse. If he won or if he lost, if he cheated, it don't matter. I'm just saying there's nothing interesting about this. And you have zero proof that he was on the floor dancing. That's what they're going to say ultimately. The man can't have a drink. We already know he lied about it, right? Didn't he lie? How could you tear? It's a grade 2 MCL is a tear. And now they're even trying to call it spring. You can't keep playing the rest of the game. And you can't keep playing the rest of the game without hobbling. It's impossible. So sooner or later, I think us adults who like the NBA, who like sports, who think that we're so intelligent, we need to grow the hell up. Because the only thing that keeps LeBron James alive and going is not him, it's us. Because most of us want clicks and views and money. So LeBron James is the NBA's money because he's the entertainment. And he's your money because you will go ahead and promote him on the same nonsense that he's been doing for 22 seasons. And he's allowed to do this same nonsense for 22 years because this is what the NBA wants for their league. They don't know where else to go. Nobody wants to watch the actual on-court play. It's boring. This guy's chucking up a whole bunch of three-pointers. So they have to bring you some kind of soap opera. They said something about this dude, stupid dude, FYF. Oh, man, the reports are that the ratings went down. What did he say? 38% since LeBron James and Luka went out the playoffs. Well, you got to think, LA is a big market, you idiot. It's not because people, nationally want to see them. Yeah, they want to see him lose. Well, at least LeBron James. But it's a big market. A lot of LA fans in California, or, it's a lot of LA fans. Just not in California, but period. Even around the world. So you would think it went down 38%, which I don't know if it did that, but it's going to go down. Because a lot of those LA fans ain't going to watch no more. And you got to think, Kyrie's not playing this year. Anthony Davis ain't playing this year. Luka is on the same team with LeBron James. So the NBA ratings are going to go down. Not because of LeBron James. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of here, man. I just don't even want to talk about the Luka thing, really. I mean, not the Luka, the Joker thing. Because people ain't understand it. Maybe I might make a different video on that. But, stuff is just getting stupid out here, man. Get what you need and stock up. And I know, man, it's tough because everybody can't do it. Everybody can't go spend an extra $300 at the grocery store. But I'm just saying, if you can, I want, when I say stock up, I ain't talking about a whole bunch of cookies and crackers and candies and juices. I'm talking about essential stuff. Basically water and meat, some canned goods, stuff like that. Because you don't want to be at the supermarket fighting with these dummies at the last second. And I'm going to tell you what, if you live in a small town, it's going to be tough in this recession. Remember how tough it was during that pandemic. But now that food and supplies ain't coming to the United States, it's going to hit the smaller cities and the smaller towns the hardest. So I'm just saying, get ready and do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do.